What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the Anything Going On Tonight podcast. We are Six Driven. I'm your host, Adam, and I'm here with a couple of my friends. So we'll just go around the horn and introduce ourselves and let you know what this podcast is going to be about. Lots of automotive focused content, but also a lot of our hobbies, right? Photography, graphic design, all that sort of stuff. So, like I said, I'm Adam. I drive a 2015 Volkswagen GTI. I've had that car for a very long time. I love it to death. And as far as what I do for work, I work in advertising, automotive advertising to be precise. So it's kind of a nice tie-in. So you'll quickly realize that everything that we do probably touches on the automotive space. So we'll pass it on to Kyle.
Hey everyone, my name is Kyle Anderson. I work for a magazine. I do graphic design. I also make YouTube videos on the side. I as well drive a Volkswagen GTI. Mine's on bags, and yeah, that's all I got going on for me. So let's give it over to Lewis.
Hey, hi, how are you? I'm a little nervous here. My name's Lewis. I shoot pictures and stuff. I have a 2020 Hyundai Veloster. It's on wheels. And let's pass it over to Jeff.
Hey, I'm Jeff. I write software that controls people's homes, and I drive a 2016 BMW 340 with a JB4.
Hey, I'm Jose, and I have a 22 S3 that I really hate, and a 21 SQ5, which I actually really like. I work in, or actually, better said, I own a couple companies in the automotive sector, as well as other unrelated sectors to go along with it.
Saludos. Hello, this is Orlando Santiago. I'm part of the group here, and basically, to summarize a little bit about myself, I'm just a Volkswagen enthusiast that happens to work on a tech environment and the manufacturing environment. And yeah, you will know a little bit about me later on as we start talking about cars and everything related to the topic. So, welcome to Six Driven Podcast.
That's it. Yeah, so that's the crew. We'll probably have a couple people that come and go as the episodes go on. So you might hear a couple of names: Rudy, Tito, Kevin. So we're gonna have a couple of people rotating through as time goes on. But yeah, this is the first episode here, so we're just gonna chat about some recent stuff that we did. We actually just got back from a great trip up in North Georgia in Helen. It's a beautiful little German town that's up there where there's a big VW and Euro show that goes on every year. So that was a great trip. We actually stopped in Atlanta on our way up at the Porsche Experience Center. That was really cool. We made a new friend, Zach. Shout out to Zach at ZRiggs, ZRIGGZ. Check him out on Instagram, TikTok, all of that. He's putting out some really good content from the Porsche Experience Center. But yeah, let's get into that a little bit because I think we were all itching to go up on that trip. What was everybody's key like favorite takeaway from that? Because I think for me this year it was getting to explore all of the meets, all of the shows properly because I feel like I didn't get to do that last time. I know Orlando, I kind of followed your lead this time.
Yeah, I would say for me, the show is always the main focus. Obviously, the you know hanging out with friends and all that, especially with you guys. But at the same time, if I'm gonna make the commitment of going there and the expense, I do want to experience the what the show has to offer and whatever relates to the actual format of the show and just add everything else to it. So, and I think at least in our case, since we hang out a little bit more, that I think we accomplished that, and it was a really good show, at least for me.
Yeah, I think because obviously this is our third time going. I think I got the best blend of like the meets and the show and all the cars in town, but also the driving and exploring the area and the scenery. I think this is like the best year that I've had so far. So that was really cool. And just so everybody knows, if they're not aware, this show is basically once a year, and it's kind of like a hub, if you will, where they kind of draw everyone to the area. There's little meets that pop up all over town throughout the week. and you might have your Mark II meet, your Mark III meet. You could have your wagon meet, and then kind of the best of from each of those meets gets selected for the main display that's on Saturday. But in my mind, that's almost like it's optional in a sense because you've seen all those cars throughout the whole week. It's just kind of a curated display of the best ones. But there were some really cool things there. They had this, the Sport Quattro, a couple of old, Beetles. They had the RS2. There was a ton of really cool stuff. Their Rotiform, they actually just posted their video today. I watched that probably maybe an hour or so ago. They did a really good job with that. But yeah, it was a really good show. Jose, I know you had a couple of hairy encounters on some mountain roads, right?
I can say that. Definitely should have used a little bit of a better judgment when I was there, but nothing happened. We've all made it home safe. Nobody got hurt. Knock on wood. Um, I was gonna say I do definitely agree with you that the main show is almost like the cherry on top of the cake at the very end, where you see like the best cars that you've been seeing throughout the 3 4 days that we've been there. So I actually was decided to be a little bit of a not follow you guys and decided to go somewhere else because I have already seen the cars. So I think going to the Tail Dragon was definitely worth the drive. So uh, maybe I can convince you guys to follow me along next year.
Well, I just want to say again, thanks again for the invite.
Yeah, I didn't think you were gonna say yes, so I just did my own thing and then texted you when I was already coming back because of
Who does
yeah, oh,
it
yeah.
do? Not just full sending it, right?
Yeah, literally, just full sended, drive 2 hours away to just go through a road like a couple of times and come back. But honestly, worth the drive. And if you can make it to another show to go to Till the Dragon, next time we're in Helen, I think we should try and make one of the days to go all the way out to Tail because it's 100% worth it.
I would definitely be in for that. Obviously, assuming if we don't do Wookiees in the Woods, which I think we're going to try to do. I know Orlando's definitely doing that.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Speaking of Wookiees, by the way, Orlando, you could probably give us a good breakdown. Like, so for people who aren't familiar, Wookiees in the Woods is an event in what is it, Fontana Village, North Carolina.
Yep.
So that's a show that started with a focus on the VR6 Volkswagens with their really iconic, sound. People say they sound like Wookiees. So Wookiees in the Woods, and obviously with the new Golf Rs and all of that, they're four cylinders, so it's not quite the same. But that's supposed to be an even cooler event with a really really dedicated group. So Orlando, like comparison between Wookiees and Helen, I know you said that Wookiees is like your all-time favorite, but like give us a breakdown of like why.
Well, I mean, Wookiees, it's more centered into the hangout of the aspect of the show. So you kind of go there to be with people and drive. It's not about who has the best in show, who has the best car, what mod do you have. It's about the driving and it's about seeing people basically once a year and talk and just hang and have that experience that atmosphere that the event, because it's really not even a show, offers. And the fact that you're basically in the middle of nowhere and the only thing you see around it's just Volkswagens, obviously VR6 for the most part. And just to give a little bit of a background too, there's a reason why it's called Wicked in the Woods, because if you're anywhere in that place, you can hear the cars revving, you can hear the cars just driving around, and when you start looking for them, you don't see them. You just see the freaking trees and the woods, and all you hear it's just the whole thing. So it's very fitting for what you get to experience there, and it's totally great. I don't know. It's one of those things that you go and then you get like, I get it now. So, but it's mainly about the social aspect of it and just the relaxed atmosphere that the event offers, and yeah, obviously the cars too. But it's a combination, pretty interesting combination of things.
So I will say, as someone who was in the area of Fontana and where Wookiees takes place, I also think that, as you've been saying and telling us all about that, the show is all about just being there and hanging out. Just being in the area shows that a lot because whereas Helen is a very scenic place where you got almost when like you want to venture out to see areas around it.
Correct.
When I was at Tell the Dragon, it was cool to just be like in this enclosed area between Fontana Dam and Tell the Dragon, just to hang out and see cars going up and down, even though there was no main event going on that day. So that's why I want to go check out Wookiees, just because I definitely now understand a little better where you're coming from, and I think you're probably underselling it if that's the case.
Correct. And something else that I want to add, and especially in my case, which I haven't mentioned yet here. Obviously, you guys know because we know us ours each personally. But this past year, there was a very significant gathering of Spectrum cars. For those who don't know, Volkswagen released a special series of cars in 2019 for the Golf R, where you could choose 40 different colors as a way to personalize your car. And I think I wouldn't say the first time in the U.S., but for the first time, like in a bigger scale, they actually organized a meet of Spectrum's car, and I think it was a total of 22 cars that gathered during the show. And to see that, it was pretty spectacular. And for me personally, one of the reasons I had to go, it was because of the Spectrum gathering. So it was actually a layer on top of what it was already a great show for me. So it just, you know, it just made it even better. But that's something that, let's say, happened uh, naturally. It wasn't something that was never planned for the show, and it really doesn't necessarily correlate 100% with the concept. But the fact that it's a Golf Rs, even though are not VR6, they're still welcome on the show, and they have their own place within the crowd. So the fact that the Golf R had a special edition and that people actually coordinated this and made it happen, it was pretty amazing. And I think it was one of the main things that happened during that specific show. And I think people are actually gonna look forward to a new gathering next year, but we will see.
Well, I
Orlando,
know I.
sorry, Adam. Orlando,
No, no,
do
go
you know
ahead.
how many Spectrum cars were actually sold? The overall number?
Well, for the United States, it was a 1 year run, and a total of 199 cars were made. Canada had the program since 2017, and it actually extended over 2019 to 2020 with a few cars. So Canada has a, let's say, a bigger program, so to speak. And I think in terms of quantity, there's more cars there. But for the United States, which is what we kind of know better, it was a 199. And for those who don't know, the Volkswagen didn't actually decide how many cars they were going to do. The concept of it all was simply that a certain amount of dealers had an allocation or the privilege to order one of those cars, and depending on whether they actually use the allocation themselves to order a specific car, or if they waited for somebody to use the allocation, that will ultimately determine which car was getting ordered where and which color. So the quantity of cars was completely random, and the actual segregation of colors and the quantity per color was ultimately a random aspect of it. So, and I can go later on a future episode about quantities and all that because I do have the stats. But for the most part, it was a very, very random program in terms of distribution. And some people were lucky enough to own 101. And the most interesting thing is that they didn't know it was going to be a 101 when they ordered. So the fact that that happened to them was pretty cool. In my case, it's a one of 12, which is pretty rare. But there's people that own one of three, one of two. And if you start segregating by options, and because the car came in either GSG or manual, if you start looking at it that way, then some cars are even rarer because there might be just one car in manual transmission with a specific color, and others will be DSG. But that it's a that nerding a little bit more in terms of the program that we can do it later. But yeah, it's a pretty cool thing from the manufacturer, and it's been great. At least for me as an owner, and the community itself, it's great.
Yeah, well, I know I definitely want to go to Wookiees if I can next year. I think Jose, you said you'd be in for that, so that'd be really cool. We should probably start looking into cabins and accommodations because I know that stuff fills up really quickly. But yeah, to anybody listening, if you haven't done Alpine Volks Fair in Helen or Wookiees in the Woods, look into it, do it. It's a long drive, definitely, but it's very, very, very worth it once you're up there. The scenery, the roads, the people, the cars, it's just all incredible. Um, so yeah, that was. I know we started talking about Alpine Volksfair and went into Wookiees, but that was probably the highlight of our year so far, at least for me in terms of automotive experiences. Richard Russell Scenic Highway, always a fun road. Wolfpen Gap still scares the shit out of me. And then we had Blood Mountain, which is actually a road that we discovered for the first time. I had heard people recommending it, talking about it, and we never really figured out where exactly it was. And this year we kind of made a right turn instead of a left turn somewhere, and the next thing we knew, we were on Blood Mountain, and that road was a blast. Really sweeping, wide open. You can carry some speed, but still have a little bit of technical twisties when you needed them. So yeah, that was a little recap of Alpine Volksfair. Lewis, I'm really, really, really sad that you couldn't join us. We really missed you, and of course, we missed your video expertise. Um, I saw some of the videos that people posted, and they're good recaps, but they didn't capture the same energy and vibe that you always managed to do.
Did you guys watch the Rotiform video?
Yeah, I saw it maybe an hour or so ago, just before we got on the podcast here.
Bro, I was laughing so hard.
It was really well done. It was cool.
Anybody else watch it?
I think Orlando did. Yeah.
Yeah, it was great.
How'd you
I
like
think
it
I'm
We
Okay.
saw
compared?
the we saw the video being filmed too, so
Yeah.
we kind of
Oh, really?
understood what they were going through. Yeah, because at the main show they had the part where the guy was walking on while the snow was falling down.
Yeah.
We were actually walking past that area when they were doing that, so it was pretty cool.
I saw the picture. I saw the picture on the Eurotripper Instagram, and I showed Ashley, and she's like, "Is that snow or sand or salt? What is that?" And I was like, "I don't know. I'm looking at the picture the same time you are." So I have no idea.
Yeah. So do you know Sam Dobbins?
Yeah, of course.
So he was the one, I guess, in charge of blowing this snow everywhere. So they had like an electric leaf blower, and then whatever this powdery like substance was, and dude, that stuff got everywhere. He looked like a total, like he was covered from head to toe in this white powder. It was hilarious.
He also did the drone shots, from what the credits said, which is
Okay.
pretty cool.
Okay. Um, but yeah, that it was a really cool concept, and I think for me, in addition to it having like a fun concept with a storyline that you could follow, the video was different from the music perspective too, because I've watched a handful of videos that people put together, and they all kind of blend together with their music choice and the pacing and all that sort of stuff.
Sure.
So this was like a nice change of pace, I think. I feel like people get into this like generic automotive video mode, and they use the same track and the same feel. But yeah, we definitely missed having you on the trip, dude. It was not the same without you.
And what really sucked is like when you guys left, I got like I woke up at the same time you guys did because my phone was blowing up, and I was like, I woke up and I was like, man, what the fuck? Like, who's texting me right now? So I like look at my phone, I see like 28 text messages. I was like, oh, it's tonight. But like, so that day I felt like crap, and then the next day I felt completely fine. I was like, dude, I don't know. Do I tell them? Should I buy a plane ticket? But I just don't want to bear. I also probably wouldn't have gotten enough rest either.
No, yeah, and actually, to fill people in if they're kind of wondering why he couldn't go, unfortunately, he caught the vid.
Yeah, I got pregnant.
So, but no, I think if you had come, you probably would have pushed yourself and probably not.
Oh,
felt
trust me, dude. I had a
too great,
whole I had a whole like scene thing going. Trust. Oh, it was gonna be great, but next year will be
That's
better.
it. Next year. But But yeah, so we're obviously we always look forward to that every year, but we'll see what the future holds.
Yeah.
Hopefully that.
Sorry.
Oh
Say
no,
for
I
those
was.
who are unaware as well, because we've been talking a lot about the map stuff. We're all from South Florida, so the roads down here be flat. So
That's a
that is
very valid
one
point.
very big reason why we look forward to for that trip.
The I think the biggest elevation change we have is like a garbage dump.
This is true. This is true.
So yeah, that's actually a very good point to make to people who don't know that we're located here in South Florida, specifically, the Fort Lauderdale area, give or take, Miami, Fort Lauderdale, that area. But yeah, we get up there and it's like, oh wow, mountains and hills and twisty roads that actually, are fun to drive and not congested with a bunch of people, doing 106 miles per hour in Nissan Altimas. So,
Fastest car on the
so
road.
that's it. That's it. 106 miles per hour, bumper flapping in the wind, hubcaps flying off. That's it. But yeah, so I think we can move on to our next topic here. So Kyle, I know you just got your car back from the shop. Typical old VW things. I feel your pain. Everything's good with it now, though, right?
Hey man, it's not that old. But yeah, so far
How many miles you got? How many miles you got?
I'm at about 120,000. So
That's getting up there.
it's up
What
there.
year's your car? What year's your car?
It's a 2017.
100,000 miles?
Yeah. Doing a lot for work, so I was putting about 85 miles a day on it.
Yikes.
But yeah, I mean, it was quite the adventure. So everything was chill. I'm glad we made it home from the trip with no problem. That was the biggest thing. That was probably my biggest takeaway from the trip. But
True.
yeah. But yeah, so I was just like after work trying to go to the store, and then all of a sudden I got EPC, check engine light, all this stuff. I was like, all right, I'm backing right back into my parking spot and not moving. And then a bunch of codes came on, contacted the dealer, and they were telling me how much their labor fee alone is. And I was just like, yeah, no, I'm not bringing my car here. So I hit up 305 VW, thanks to the recommendations of Orlando and Adam. And Danny took care of me. Ended up being the water pump thermostat housing. He also did carbon cleaning while I was in there, so hopefully the car will be better than ever. But yeah, it was an adventure getting the car to the shop. I worked across county lines, so I was like not sure how much a tow truck would cost. And my friend David was like, "Oh yeah, we got a truck. We can just get a U-Haul trailer and take it." I decided to take the cheap route and get the dolly, and I kind of regret it because there's nothing but problems. First off, the car is too low to get on the dolly initially. All right, whatever. Take the bumper off, no big deal. Then trying to get it on top of the dolly, I just kept cutting power because it kept going into limp mode. So I had to keep parking, holding the handbrake, and turning it off and on multiple times to get enough power to even get to the top of the dolly. And then my BBS is the lips caught the side where the straps go and just stopped my car completely. So that was fun. Rolled it back down, had to tear apart my storage closet in my apartment, get out some spare wheels, threw those on, and then finally got it up on top of the dolly. Drive it down. We had to go like, I want to say 50 miles an hour down 75, which was terrifying in its own right. And then we get to the shop, and it's in the best neighborhood ever. And trying to navigate the
Correct.
yeah, exactly.
Actually, I had that thought. So, had you been to 305 before?
I've only been one other time, and it was when we broke David. I can't remember his last name. I feel terrible, but he has.
I know who you're talking about. Yeah.
Yeah, he's the Blue Golf.
Yeah.
we were
Oh,
trying to
was
put-
that place?
Yeah, that place.
Oh
So we were
my
trying to put
god, I'm so sorry.
exactly. So at that time, we were trying to put someone's car back to stock, and a little too hard on the axle and broke his axle. So we had to get it towed. But luckily, Jeff had AAA at the time, and we were able to just flatbed the car down there, and it was no problem. But yeah, so we, you hauled it, no big deal. By the
I
time we got there-
100% think AAA is the best investment for anybody as a car owner. The
1000%.
the 3 tows a year that you get are so worth it. And if you buy it as a family plan, it's split across the family. So like it's so cheap. It really is 100% the most worth it thing that I do is like a car enthusiast because I use it for my cars and friends' cars all the time.
Yep. Yeah, it's like $105 for the year, and they give you a tow that's like up to 150 miles and roadside assistance and battery service and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah, so I definitely think I'm going to look into that myself, especially
You
after
should.
the this
Your
next part.
your insurance doesn't provide
Especially
it?
with
Like
No,
towing?
my insurance, they cover towing, but they only cover it to the nearest shop, which I found out
Really?
Got it. Um,
good, but it's not great in my
right.
circumstance because I had to go to 305 specific.
Right. Yeah, with AAA, I think the basic one only gives you like 5 miles or 10 miles or something like that. So it's probably to a near shop like that. But if you do the one step up from the basic plan, I think it's up to 100 miles or 150 miles.
I think my
So
current plan, I get 200 miles and 3 tows a year, and
yeah,
I think I
something
pay
like
about
that.
$150 a year for my plan. And
Yeah, yeah,
especially as somebody like Kyle who's got a 100,000 mile old car at this point, the peace of mind is just it's so nice to know that if I really end up in a bad situation, especially with like how Orlando all the time, that I
hmm
could theoretically get my car back even down to Fort Lauderdale from Orlando and not have to pay a dime.
right.
Wait,
And
what?
then there's another one, by the way. So there's obviously this AAA that's kind of like the household name. But if you guys are familiar with Haggerty, they do classic car insurance. They have a program for they call it their drivers club. So it's $70 for the year. You don't have to have insurance through them, so you can just subscribe to this separately. And it's basically the same stuff as AAA, with roadside and all that sort of stuff. I think they have some other benefits as well, but they're really used to dealing with specialty and classic cars. So for people like us who are really particular and might have, whether it's a lowered car or fancy wheels or something, I might actually switch over to Haggerty. I've heard good things about them.
But what about my hotel discount?
Well, that's a different story. But
So
you
Wait,
do
you
a ton of
said
traveling.
wait, you
Wait,
said you said Haggerty is for classic cars.
yeah, so Haggerty has classic car insurance, but they
Sure.
also have a program called Drivers Club. I'm looking at it right now.
Oh, and you can
And
you can get it for any car.
yeah, you can get it for any car. You don't have to have insurance through them. It's a separate program, and it's $70 for the year, and you get all the roadside assistance and all that typical stuff.
that's not bad. I mean, that's a fraction of a single toe, so
Yeah,
that
so here it
pays
says
for it in its own.
yeah, 24/7 towing with soft nylon straps, unlimited service requests for lockouts, jump starts, fuel delivery, first 100 miles of towing covered, and then you get $100 towards emergency roadside services per occurrence. So I would look into that.
Sounds great.
I'll send you
Because
the link so you have it.
I don't know if we're doing show notes, but that might even be worth putting in the show notes.
Yeah, yeah, because I feel like a lot of people don't realize that services like that exist. Because, like you said, your insurance company offers it, but you only can go to the nearest shop, which could be, you don't even know what shop it's going to be, if they know how to work on your car. So this gives you the flexibility and kind of the peace of mind of like, hey, I can get my car taken where I need it to be. They're not going to damage my wheels because they deal with, lowered cars and specialty cars. So I would look into it.
Yeah, I definitely wish I had something like that because in the process of using the U-Haul trailer, we were not aware that the top of the dolly had a pivot point, which, I mean, obviously the car is going to pivot because of the two front wheels on the dolly because it's a front wheel drive car. But we were not aware that my car on top of the dolly was pivoting as well. I just put on some side skirt extensions about a month ago, and now they're destroyed because my whole car pivoted and both sides got crushed on the dolly. So that was amazing.
Did your BBSs get messed up or no? Because you said they were rubbing.
Luckily, I guess because of how slow I was going, because the car kept cutting power, and once it finally caught on the like the handle part, which like when it stopped the car with the BBSs, it didn't damage them. I was really worried about that, but when I re-put them on Monday, everything was fine on those. But the rotiforms, I don't know if it's because they were wider or what, or just because we had to get over that same little piece of metal. One of them, the finish got pretty much destroyed, but it is what it is.
Yikes. Yeah, I think.
Luckily, it is all cosmetic, so I mean, I couldn't really complain because like having a nice looking, side skirts and wheels, it doesn't mean anything if the car doesn't run.
Fair enough. But yeah, next time, AAA or Haggerty. And
Or don't forget my boy Chino.
Yeah, honestly, the whole thing was just me being a cheap ass, and my whole thing in Six Driven is I'm gonna be the cheapest way possible to get things done because I'm a broke ass bitch.
My boy Chino will tell you 150 for the ride, but may you wait 3 hours Cuban time.
right.
So next week.
Literally the entire year.
I will say with AAA, they will do a flatbed for you on request every time, but you will have to wait sometimes. But every time I've had an issue, they have flatbedded my car.
Same.
Very good to know.
Same. Yeah. Actually, my car has only been on a flatbed once, and we all know why. Do we want to get into that story?
Yes, get into it now.
So,
Wait,
I mean,
prior to the Durango or post Durango?
well, no. This is post Durango, but the Durango didn't have to involve a flatbed.
Let's just start from the beginning. What happened, Adam?
So, I can't believe it's only been a little over a year. It feels like it's forever ago. But yeah, I was driving to work in my GTI. Literally, 8:30 in the morning, rush hour traffic, nothing crazy, and I just go to just speed up just by a couple of miles per hour just to overtake somebody, and the car didn't even downshift. It just rolled into the throttle and kind of hiccuped, and I get the every light on the dashboard, EPC, check engine light, you name it, and it just starts making this awful, awful, awful noise, and my heart absolutely sank, and I had no power, and the car just sounded like absolute crap, and I was like, well, shit, I think my engine's toast. There's the famous line. Everyone makes fun of me for saying that, but yeah, it wasn't good. So I made the call. I was like, hey, if I have to pull over and my car is already dead, I'm not going to pull over in the middle of 595. I'm going to get this thing off the highway at the very least. So I limped it off the highway onto Marina Mile, which is kind of like a service road near the highway. And yeah, sure enough, spun a bearing, and the engine was gone. So that's kind of why I joke around with Kyle saying, old Volkswagen things. But, there's a little bit of trauma, a little bit of PTSD there. But long story short, I ended up having to replace the engine. I had it towed via AAA on a flatbed. The car had just been freshly detailed and cleaned, and it looked so beautiful on the back of that truck. I'll never forget it. But had it towed to the dealer, which was only like a mile away from where it died. And the long story short, they called me up and they said, "Hey, we have a new engine in stock, and we're going to honor the price of the remanufactured engine. Do you want to proceed?" And I was like, you know what? Full send. Let's go. I'm not going to be able to find another car for under $10,000 that checks all the boxes that this car does. And of course, I had the emotional attachment to the car too. So I figured while I was at it, why not build it back better? And I went ahead and put an IS38, which is the Golf R Turbo. And then Jose came to the rescue and was able to flash the car with his company MTM. So that's technically a stage 3 tune, which is still bizarre to me to say that I have a stage 3 GTI. Never thought I'd say those words. But yeah, so now it's got I think 360 horsepower, give or take. It's faster than it ever needs to be, and it has more power than I know what to do with front wheel drive. So that's a very, very condensed version of that story. But you can imagine the stress and trying to think about what you're going to do and how you're going to pay for it and all that sort of stuff. But old Volkswagen things. But I don't regret doing it. Car is still going strong. I think I have about 25,000 miles on the engine now, and no issues to speak of. It's been great. So I don't regret it at all.
My favorite part that you left out is when they sent you the video of the diagnosis of your car, telling you the engine is gone, and the guy is just going through and saying, "This is perfect. This is perfect.
well,
This is clean.
yeah.
This is no good. This is like absolutely
yeah.
perfect car." Gets to the engine where he dropped the oil pan.
Well, no. The funniest part to me. So I guess this is some new tool or new system that they have in place at these dealers. So they give you like a video tour of the work and the inspections and all that sort of stuff. So he just went through the motions like it was any other car coming in for an oil change. And he starts at the back and he says, "Hey, my name is so and so with Gunther Volkswagen, and walk you through the inspection. Tires look good, suspension looks good, brakes look good, this looks good. We recommend engine replacement at this time." Like he just so nonchalantly just goes through everything. Like, yeah, everything looks great, but the engine's gone. Like it was just the comedic timing on it was hilarious. I have that video saved somewhere. I can't find it, but I have it somewhere. But yeah, old Volkswagen things. That's all I'll say. Orlando knows about old Volkswagen things because he owns two of them.
And that's why I feel older than you guys.
But his are actually old Volkswagens.
Right, right. His are like the cool old Volkswagens.
1992, to be more specific.
That's older than me.
Yeah, I wasn't even a thought then.
Well, there you go. That's why they smoke whenever you're driving, and all of a sudden you get smoke from the dash. But you just turn around and change cars. That's what I did. So
Did you ever figure out what's going on?
no, I actually took some of the panels out and turned on the car recently just to try to mimic the conditions where the car actually did that last time, and there was no smoke. So I don't know. Maybe I'll drive it one day and see if there's more smoke, or if I ever trust the car again. I don't know. To be honest, I might think it's something related to the headlights, but at this point, it's just me guessing. Because again, I try to mimic the conditions. I wasn't driving necessarily, which I was when that happened, but I had the AC on, I had the radio on, I had the car on, I had like the wipers on because it was raining that day, and I didn't see shit. So
Do
yeah,
you
I might remove some other panels just to actually get like full access to the fuse box and see if I can touch things and see if there's anything that is overheating.
I
And
can let you borrow my thermal camera. We can do it that way. It'd be a lot quicker.
yeah, that will work actually.
Yeah,
Because
that's not a bad idea.
yeah, I will appreciate that because honestly, I mean, these cars are prone to have electrical issues, and the fact that I had this, it wasn't a surprise at all. And the car is still running great. That's the funny part. Like, as far as I'm concerned, everything works. So whatever was overheating that back then, it didn't actually kill itself. So we will see.
And for those of you who are listening and don't know exactly what cars he's talking about, Orlando's our resident Volkswagen Corrado enthusiast.
Oh
So he's
yeah,
got two
I
of them.
left the most important part. It's a 1992 Volkswagen Corrado SLC. It's blue. It has a Frankenstein engine in it because the original 2.8 liter V6 engine, VR6, um, wasn't up to standards anymore after driving 100,000 miles. Probably beat to death because those engines tend to last 200 because I have another one of those, and that one has 205. So and it's still the original engine. So the engine itself, it's very durable. But this car apparently had a rough life when it was younger, and this engine was done. So I ended up with a 3.6 liter VR6 from a 2007 Passat. So I basically duplicated the power, and I mean, it runs great, and it's been great. But yeah, you still have a 30-year-old car after all said and done. And even though I have the modern engine and all that, I mean, 50% of the electric, it's still 30 years old. So shit is gonna happen,
Right.
you know.
By the way, at the meet last night, I know you didn't come to the meet. And again, for those of you listening in, Kyle and I and the gang here, we host the South Florida Mark 7, South Florida Volkswagen meets once a month. So it's the first Tuesday of each month. But last night there was a couple that had come all the way from somewhere in like West Palm Beach or somewhere way far north in their e-Golf. And they actually had to stop at a charging point on their way to the meet to make it, which was crazy that they were that dedicated to join. But super nice people. So I was talking to them, about a couple of different things, and they did mention that they had a Corrado. It was a G60. But I mentioned yours, Orlando, and they were blown away. They're like, "Oh, 3.6, it's got to be a rocket ship and all this other stuff." So if you can ever bring the Corrado, hopefully it doesn't, smoke and burn
Yeah,
to
I
the
mean,
ground.
in theory, if that didn't happen and I actually went to the meet, it would have been that car. So, I mean, yeah, it's bound to happen at one point. It's just that timing didn't work this time.
Yeah, yeah. I don't know if they're gonna make a point to come back because I know it's a far drive, but super nice people and definitely enthusiasts. They were so he had the e-golf and then he had I think they had two TDIs that they had like 250,000 miles on each one of them, and then they've got that Scirocco. I think they might have had a Scirocco too, but then also the Corrado.
Yeah, that's very likely.
Yeah, but super cool people. So I'm sure you would have enjoyed talking to them.
Yeah, I missed that part.
Yeah, but yeah, the meet was always good. I'm glad the weather held out for us too. But yeah, old VW problems. That's what we always like to say. It's kind of like a rite of passage, especially with the water pump stuff on the new water cooled stuff. Like if you're nearing 100,000 miles with a Mark 7 and you haven't done the water pump, uh, that's a unicorn. So
Hey man,
you
all I'm saying is I'm at 112 now, and that was my factory water pump. So my old Volkswagen's gonna keep kicking for a long time.
Dude, seriously, out of everybody in this podcast right now, you're going to have the best long term reliability. I guarantee that.
And then worst case, if I don't, I just take the ruckus out. So like, what's 49 cc's gonna do, right?
Well,
I
see,
mean,
that's
keep in mind, my 2019 car had a new pump at 29,000 miles. So
that's what I'm saying. Yeah,
I have the record of the lowest lasting water pump out of all of us. So.
yeah. On my car, it's on its third water pump now. So yeah, these things like the water pump is the weakest link for sure. But that's at least what you guys have with the so-called two car or two vehicle solution. So oh, the Corrado's acting up, cool. I'll take the Golf R. Oh,
Yeah,
the
I
GTI's
wasn't
acting up, I'll take the Ruckus. Like
correct. I wasn't even stressing out when that happened. I was going to work. I was
yeah,
very, very close to home. I saw the smoke. I thought, well, I should get back home before this thing catches fire. And obviously, I was looking to see if the smoke would get worse, but it was like dissipating. So I just drove half a mile back home and took off the battery. And I was like, well, catch you later because I gotta have to go to work. So I just swapped cars and went off.
yeah. That's the one thing that, especially like when I had to go through the engine replacement, I obviously don't have a two car solution, so I had to borrow the trusty E Class from Jose, which is unironically now one of my favorite cars because it bailed me out of a very tough situation. But I guess that's a nice segue into my next little topic here. I hope to have a two-car solution coming up soon because I have a little bit of an Audi RS3 on order, and Jose does too. So I'm really excited for that. I know Jose is probably deciding what shade of green he wants. I'm still deciding what shade of blue I want. Um, but that should be super exciting when those come. I've been nerding out on all the media drives and press releases and YouTube videos and all that sort of stuff that just kind of went live. And Jose, I think we were talking about it yesterday, but I think some cars are like already on the way to dealers, right?
So yeah, I got another call from another dealer today, offering me a car if I want to get one when they first come. Obviously, you and me are have orders in for Audi exclusive cars, which puts us off potentially significant amount of time for you. If I end up doing Audi exclusive interior, a very significant amount of time for me.
Right.
So because of like what I do for a living, I'm now heavily considering trading my S3, which I really hate that car, so I don't
Which
really
I
care.
still don't. I don't fully understand why you hate that car. That's a
Okay,
strong word.
I came from another RS3, so it literally feels like I'm moving backwards when I floor the S3 compared to the RS3, but whatever. Um, so I'm considering trading the S3, which I had just ordered parts to go stage 3 on the S3, into the RS3 in the next coming weeks and just drive that around. In the meantime, get some promo out that car while my exclusive car comes in, God knows when.
And for anyone that's interested, how much power does the Stage 3 S3 make?
So mine was going to be the first one we do in the US, but our car in Germany is making 525.
That's insane.
You know, just
Honestly, kind of absurd coming from a 4-cylinder Audi VW product, but technology, I guess, progression.
That's crazy. But even I mean even stage one on those new engines, it's what like 440.
So our stage one in Germany is making like 440. That includes obviously their better gas and some intake modification, which I think is probably removing the snow guard and putting in a drop-in filter.
Hmm.
Um, so we're expecting the US version of the same stage one file without intake modifications to be around 410, 420, somewhere around there. So
That's incredible. Like just for a stage one flash with no other mods needed, that's really impressive.
yeah, and right now my car is running like our piggyback module, and it's as fast as a stage two old S3 DCAT. So they're a lot faster nowadays. It's just they're too slow for me.
Well, you know something's wrong in the universe when my car is faster than yours. So
Well, there is that too. That just keeps me up at night. It keeps me dreaming. I honestly think my SQ5 is faster than my car and yours, but I don't know. Haven't tested the theory.
I could see that. I could see that.
Yeah.
But yeah, these new RS3s, I've been doing a lot of just checking forums from Europe and all that sort of stuff, and they're little monsters. And
Well,
also, oh, go ahead. What were you gonna say?
well, they are definitely little monsters, and I know I've already started ordering parts for cars. I don't even know when they're going to show up. So
Well, I think I was telling you last night, but I was listening to Matt Farah talk about his press drive with the car, and he was comparing the new diff, the what is it, torque splitter, RS torque splitting
yeah,
diff.
our Storks were basically like a revised Go Far diff, but yeah.
Right. So obviously it's the same technology. It's the same part that they use in the Golf R and the RS3, but it's all down to just calibration and software and tuning. So he was saying that drift mode in the Golf R is kind of, it works, but it's a bit of a party trick, just kind of a gimmick that you use once or twice, and there's no real world use for it. And also, he was saying you have to kind of floor the throttle and steer into it and really force the car to do it for drift mode. But he was saying with the RS3, the way they've tuned it, you can actually modulate with the throttle. You can modulate the angle. You can transition between drifts. So they really like leaned into that torque splitter and made it like a true rear wheel drive. It's not rear wheel drive like, but it has some characteristics of rear wheel drive in terms of how you can drive the car. So I'm just really excited for, A, the power, B, they finally stepped up the interior on that thing compared to the previous gen. The ambient lighting is beautiful, the gauge cluster's cool, the infotainment's great. So I'm just excited to get into something that's, it's pricey, but at the same time, you're buying the powertrain. That's really what you're paying for.
Well, I will say, as I have my previous RS3, and when I bought that car, and I think I even made a comment a few times. I bought this car, I bought the engine, and then a car came attached. I did not like the interior was absolutely the worst interior Audi has made compared to everything that was out at the time, and it literally was all about the powertrain. Now, something I want to go back on, like you were talking about the drift mode and whatnot. So I have a friend called Timo Scheider. If you guys probably know him, he's a DTM 24-hour champion and whatnot. He runs an ice driving school in Sweden, I think. And he has previous gen RS3s, like my old one, that don't have the drift mode. And he got a new car, just one to try it out. Because he's like, oh, everyone's telling me it has a diff. It should be better for our snow driving school where we just want to drift the cars around. He had the car. He made it 3 laps. He overheated the diff. Apparently, even though that in most circumstances for most drivers, diffs allow you to drift in the snow where they're just consistently putting the car sideways, like for basically the entire lap. The diffs are not as stout as they were before with the previous cars. So seems
Right.
like that could potentially be a point of failure, especially since people are still like doing big power builds in the future. But I guess time will tell in that
Well,
regard.
I think so. It'll be interesting to see because I feel like we've had drift mode in like the Focus RS and all of that, which is a similar front wheel drive biased,
And
almost
those cars were
Haldex.
riddled with.
Yeah, but I don't know if any of you guys watch Engineering Explained on YouTube, but he has a really good video that explains how that system works. But they actually overdrive the rear axle on the Focus RS, so it's like a fraction of a percent, I want to say faster in the rear than the front, which is how they get the rear to step out. But what happens is you have the friction that builds up. So if you use that drift mode for too long in a Focus RS, that thing goes into a total limp mode and you can completely cook that rear diff. So I'll be curious to see, with this Mark 8 Golf R and the RS3, because they're using a clutch-based system to send power to the left and the right, versus Haldex, the previous Haldex, which was just a clutch-based transfer between the front axle and the rear diff. So it'll be interesting to see how it copes with, like you said, big power and just people being stupid. Because if there's one thing that we've all learned over time, it's that you give people relatively affordable cars with a ton of power and drift mode, they're going to find a way to do stupid things with it. So,
And we're
never
really
underestimate.
saying affordable with an asterisk there.
Well, I mean, Golf R. That's
Well, yeah, go for it. Way more
yeah,
affordable.
and also keep in mind, people. I feel like, especially these days, a lot of people get into situations with cars, buying cars that they probably shouldn't afford or couldn't afford, but because of financing and all that that they can do, they end up getting into cars that they probably shouldn't, and then they're just scraping by and trying to mod it on a shoestring budget, and then when something breaks, then they're crying and they have to return to stock and sell the car and sound like somebody we know.
Damn. Right now. No, I'm just playing. That's not me. But
No, I know.
144-month finance like that, right?
Hey, listen, I've done that once. It worked out fine.
Yeah, but that's
Wait,
a
so that
totally
just means
different
that's how you be
situation.
rich. Got it.
Wait, what? You can finance a car for 144 months?
I did on my Bentley.
It kind of makes sense, but not really.
I owned that car for free for a year, and it was the most atrocious spec to ever grace the planet Earth.
But you fixed it. It looked pretty good once you wrapped it. So
And then when I sold it, the dealer wanted to unwrap it so they could sell it for more. I was like, "You're blind."
How do you get a loan for 144 months?
So
What's the qualifications there?
uh, not high enough, I will say that. But it's a company called Woodside Credit, and they basically only do like exotic cars that hold value really well or gonna go up in value. So like Bentleys and whatnot, which ironically Bentleys don't hold value very well, but they won't do a Bentley new, they'll only do a used. Or like a GT3, like they'll do new or used. Like cars that are significant amount of money that can you potentially be worth enough money to make it worth for them taking a liability for 12 years.
But it's only that company that does it?
It's the only one I've heard of, and I wouldn't recommend it to anyone unless you can afford to get their lowest interest rate. And
What might that
basically,
be?
at the time when we did the pen, it was 2.99.
Oh, that's not bad.
Yeah.
Oh, I am not interested in that, but I was just really curious.
Yeah, so back then we had that car for a year, and we sold it, and we got like I think like a $10,000 check, and when we did the math, the car ended up costing us like $2,000 to owe for the year or something like that, which was like 2 payments or something, like something stupid. We basically had the car for free thanks to that, but the car was also a piece of crap, so we didn't keep it.
but I feel like situations like that are few and far between.
Oh no, I've seen people get in trouble with that stuff.
of
Don't,
course, yeah.
like do not recommend it. Like if you're gonna do it, like take in mind that it could get very expensive very quickly, and you could choose a car that could get you into a lot of trouble very quickly as well.
Yeah,
So,
I feel like more often than not, you're just going to end up upside down really fast.
yeah.
I'm just gonna roll it all over into a Civic anyway, so it's fine.
Hey, I've rolled all over loans into all the cars. It's fine. $80,000 on my previous RS3 was fun.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that. Yikes.
So
Yeah.
that's why you didn't get it painted. Got it.
Uh-huh.
So hold on. So going back to that though, since I'm still waffling back and forth on color, have you narrowed it down on yours? What you want to do?
This morning I woke up feeling all green, and right now I'm feeling avocado green. So I'll let you know.
Dude, I'm telling you, if you don't do oak green, if you're doing green and you don't do oak green, you've done it wrong. Oak green is fantastic.
So
As long as it's green over tan, I'm in love with the idea.
Well,
the
yeah,
tan
if
needs
you're
approval, so please hold.
but that would probably be the only RS3 with green over tan.
Oh, because I'll be the only stupid idiot to go and pay like $5,000 for the interior, but whatever.
I mean, it would be really cool if you intend to keep the car.
As long as they don't build another one that with a 5-cylinder, I
Well,
will keep it.
I don't think they're going to because I feel like if they were gonna build another RS3 after this with the 5 cylinder, they would have built a new 5 cylinder. But this is really just a
Well,
revised,
yeah, I don't think
you
the
know.
engine can make. Like the engine doesn't pass like emissions regulations in Canada anymore. In Europe,
Oh, is that why they canceled it?
yeah, it's something related to emissions. So if
Interesting.
if it's already starting to not become available in some markets, even if you want to say the Canadian market's small by comparison to the others, it's eventually not going to be able to pass emissions in the US and
Hmm.
Europe probably shortly after. So yeah, that engine is long for this time, so they will need to make a new one, and the likelihood of that is not high. I think they're more likely to build a 3-cylinder hybrid RS3 than another 5-cylinder.
Yeah, exactly, or a 4 cylinder hybrid or something. I mean, look at Mercedes, right? AMG, they're going to the 4 cylinder for a C63.
Yeah, don't talk to me about that. That's a sacrilege. As someone who had two of them,
Trash, trash.
though that's not a 60 liter.
No, I agree. I agree. I'll be curious to see. I mean, I know performance-wise, it'll probably be a beast,
Well,
but
yeah,
I
it has
just
like 700 horsepower, bro.
yeah,
Like who cares?
but I don't think it's going to be received well.
It's not going to sound
By
good.
the no, it won't. It won't, because that's part of the experience. You know, the way it sounds, the way it feels. A little 4 cylinder, it's not it.
The AMG experience is a V8 and gas stations. That's it. If you if you shy anything of that, like why even bother buying one?
Yeah, I agree. Totally agree. So, all
But
right,
yeah,
well,
well, so what color are you doing? Because you were undecided last night still.
dude, I'm waffling back and forth. So, uh, gentian blue is still kind of up there, but I'm starting to lean away from it, just because it's a little bit darker than I'd like. Um, if it's not got direct sunlight or like bright light on it, it's a little bit darker than I'd like. Um, Another option is Sepang blue. It's a classic Audi color. I like that it's a pearl effect and not metallic, so it's got that really fine kind of pearl to it, which looks great in the sun. But honestly, I'm kind of leaning towards San Marino blue again. It's got a hint of that like purple flake to it, and it just has like a really rich blue, but it's not too bright. It's like right in the middle. So I really don't know. I have plenty of time.
I still
What
vote
what?
1 of 1 carbon steel gray.
I mean, yes,
I second that motion.
that is like the obvious choice for Adam Carbon Steel Gray Metallic Shake.
I mean, it'd be sick. It'd be really really cool, but uh, I don't know. I'm ready for something different too. Um, It'd be really really cool,
Well, it's
but
going to be a different car, Adam. So you got difference there.
yeah. I also still have half a mind to do like GT silver or Floret silver, but
So
I know
just
you guys
FYI,
will
GT
burn me
Silver
at the
will never
stake.
get approved, so don't even bother.
Well, Floret silver is also beautiful, and to me, I was talking to Kyle
Base
about
spec
this
Audi.
last night. What's that?
Base spec Audi.
Well, you say base spec, but to me, I say like iconic spec because I mean, I remember like in the 90s and early 2000s, if you look at all of Audi's marketing materials, it's all shown with silver Audis. That's always been like their iconic brand color. But and it just looks clean. But I don't know, to be determined. I'm sure I'm going to change my mind at least, a dozen more times, if not more. So we'll see. We'll see. But you got to do oak green. If you're doing green, that's the only choice.
So I was looking at all green on PTSRS, and then I saw jet green, and I think I like it more. So yeah, that just got thrown in there last second now. So yeah, screw me.
Isn't jet green like darker?
Yeah, but I, there's something about oak that on some lights I'm like hell no, and then just about every other light I love it. Jet green seems to be a little more uniform with how it behaves with light, so
Well, the
that's why I like
reason
it. So I
the
don't know.
reason the reason why I've always liked oak green is because the metallic has like a gold shimmer to it. So especially
Yeah,
like if you're doing bronze wheels or something, it picks up that tone really nicely.
I 100% agree with you, but every now and then I'll see a picture of an oak green car, and it looks like something that came out of a baby's mouth the wrong way.
I don't know about that.
I disagree.
I definitely disagree there.
I
Speaking
agree
of
to disagree.
which, the blue that we saw at the Porsche Experience Center, the Iris
Iris
blue.
blue, yeah. Yeah,
Very sick.
I looked up some more pictures and stuff. It's a beautiful color, but again, it's a little darker than what I'd like because, carbon steel gray is already really dark. Um, so when it comes to, showing dirt and all of that, it's a chore. So I don't want to get something that's too dark. And I feel like the RS3 is kind of a sporty, more aggressive design, so you can pull off a little bit of a brighter color, which is
Agreed.
odd for me because I'm kind of an understated guy, but
Mm-hmm.
I feel like you can strike a nice balance of like still classy, but a little more in your face too. I don't know.
Adam, join me on the exclusive interior again. Come on, let's go.
No, no, I'm not paying $2,500 to unlock the privilege of paying $2,000 for different colored stitching.
Don't you also have to wait longer?
Oh, for sure.
Oh yeah, for sure.
I'm pretty sure Adam just wants the car.
I mean, I want the car tomorrow, but like beggars can't be choosers.
Right. I mean, I've waited this long, so what's another few months?
So
What's
I
another
think it's
engine
worth
for
it.
the
So
GTI?
What's that?
Nothing. I was just playing. I'm just playing. I said, what's another engine for the GTI?
Yeah, pretty much.
yeah, literally about the
So we'll see. I doubt we're gonna have to lock in those orders for at least another probably what 5 6 months.
Oh yeah, exclusive. I don't think will lock. I don't think we're getting exclusive production. I think exclusive production is about to end. So the way how exclusive works is they use actually the Porsche at least on the R6, which I'm a little more familiar with. They use the Porsche plans to paint the cars.
Right.
So it depends on allocation of time and availability, which is also affected by the amount of people ordering PTS. So if I'm not mistaken, exclusive or the next batch of exclusive cars is going to manufacturing February for the RS6. So I'm assuming the RS3 follows that same schedule, but I could be wrong.
Gotcha.
I got one thing to say about the choices and the decision, because once you go with a color, you go with a color. There's no turning back. My experience with my car, I was all over the place when I was trying to decide on the color. I ended up with a very nice purple color, by the way. It's called Violet Touch Pro. It's a Corrado color, by the way. Um, and from obviously, I've owned the car for 3 years now, and I do have. Let me. How can I put this? The fact that the color it's significantly different from anything else that it's offered standard, I think it makes a lot of difference in the overall experience. So, because again, and nobody knows this because I haven't said anything, but my car looks kind of dark overall. So, and it's not necessarily what I could have gone in terms of preferences, but right now, as knowing what I know and like I said, owning the car for 3 years, I think I made a really good decision with what I chose, and in my opinion, you should consider that, or you guys should consider that, because there's an added value in terms of having something that catches the attention of people. And people that know me knows that I'm not an attention whore whatsoever. But it does give the car a little bit of an extra sense, so to speak. And I've been enjoying the fact that my car is it's particularly attractive in that sense, and it adds a layer of something that I wasn't even expecting when I was choosing the color. So, and I do have other different colors that I really really like, and one of them it's actually Viper Green, which is totally not what I would have considered when I was um, you know going through the process. But now that I see it, it's like, oh, that thing looks different, and it freaking looks amazing when the sun hits. So now that I see it, it's like, oh, that would have been a great choice for me, even though it's totally not what I could have considered back in the day. So I don't know. And for me, it did add a layer of something that I wasn't even planning on. And now that I see you guys going through the process 3 years later, I think it's something you could consider as a factor, and weigh in that specific aspect of it, because I think it's gonna add a positive aspect to the overall experience. At least it was for me, and I wasn't even planning on.
So,
Yeah,
so
I
something I
I
will
get it.
say about what last time I did exclusive for the S8, like you say, just having people think it's a wrap and it's not, is like such a cool feeling because you know you have something different.
Yeah,
But
because that's obviously my my question every other day from people that don't know they know Volkswagen, so they know it's not a standard color. So the first thing that comes to their mind is like, is this a wrap? And I was like, no, it's not a wrap. And again, it's not about impressing, having people like you because of it, but at the same time, the interest that people show after they know it's actually a factory color and it's not the usual color that they see on other cars, it does add a pretty cool aspect.
so I think like I have that concern even a little more in the front of my head. Like if like whereas Adam can choose whatever color he wants and he'll be happy with more so than me, I also have to consider that whichever color I choose is going to affect the reachability of the car for our marketing. So if I end up doing Nardo Gray, actually it might get a lot of likes and views because people are stupid for liking primer, but it may not get as many views as if the car is purple or bright green instead of like a dark green. So I got like reds are really bad on Instagram, for example. So I have to choose almost my car also for Instagram in a point for
But
myself.
then, but then you said that your white car it's a hit in that sense. So
Well, yeah,
what's the logic here?
my current white S3 is a hit. My blue S8 was a hit. The RS3 never was. Almost to a point. Even when we posted nowadays, we almost get no hits on that car.
But it was
So
not gray at one point.
it was Nardo Gray, but not black optics, and it wasn't ever lowered on wheels while it was Nardo Gray. So red, absolutely horrible on Instagram every time we posted. The green every now and then was a lot better, but still not as high as ironically some cyan black cars that we posted, some bright green cars that we posted, some bright blue cars that we posted, like my estate. So I have to keep that in the back of my head, but I also want to get dark green because I want dark green. So I'm having
Well,
this internal debate myself.
I would say though, I think the automotive landscape has changed in the last couple of years, and I feel like green over tan, like Lewis said, like
Well,
green over
yeah,
tan is like super hot right now.
Best combination.
Yeah,
absolutely. And like, you post it, you tag make green gray again that account, and I'm sure okay reshare it. And I think I can make a cool story and timeline for green over tan, which is why I want to do green over tan.
You
But
guys follow the Instagram page Green Over 10? Because I
absolutely.
do.
yeah, it's the best page ever.
It's literally the best.
That page and make green gray again are the two best car spec pages on Instagram.
Dude, all I know is if you do oak green metallic, you'll get to tag and hopefully meet oak green metallic. Tino, who's got the GT3 Touring, he's
What
like
the?
the ambassador for GT3 Touring, but he's got an oak green metallic GT3 Touring. He's done like a stupid amount of miles all over Europe. He's friends with Sam from Seen Through Glass. and like it's to me, it's just such an iconic, cool color. It's classy, but it's also eye-catching. It goes great with a tan interior if you go that route. You can tie it in with, bronze wheels or graphite or, like yellow calipers or something. Like it just has so many options.
Listen, man, you and me both know I'm doing bronze or gold wheels, and that's it. But touch on something you just said.
LOL.
You just mentioned Sam, and now you made me think of Goodwood Green and made me go back on my list again. So
Well,
screw you.
Goodwood Green is dark though.
Yeah, but it's
Like
really
like
sick. It's really
I mean,
sick.
it is, but I wouldn't do Goodwood over
I see
over
Goodwood
oak.
Green as the British Racing Green metallic. Yeah, I love it.
I mean, Goodwood is great, but it's dark.
Agreed. But again, I can have this debate every day, all day, and I think it's going to come down that the day the specs lock, that I'm just going to say it's this, and I'm gonna live with it. So it is
Yeah,
what it is.
I feel like we're both going to be in a similar
Yeah.
situation.
So I gonna keep thinking about it until I have no choice but to make a decision.
Yeah, but yeah. So time will tell. We'll lock that in. I guess we'll see what we get.
Scale
We got to start our own Spectrum thing.
RS3,
Correct.
Spectrum RS3.
Somebody go get the Instagram page now.
Just make sure it's with a C, not a K, because then you will get hate.
Well, isn't the K how they spell it in Germany?
Yes, but still.
So then it's got to be with the K.
Yeah, but it's been used already, and
That's
that little.
Orlando. That's Orlando vetoing the idea.
Yeah, I mean, no, not really.
No, I'm only kidding. But yeah, so we'll see what happens. But let's see. How are we doing on time, guys? Coming up on
Now we're
a
50.
little. Yeah. All right. Hey, that went a little longer than I thought we'd do for our first one.
That's an hour and
This-
15 of recording.
yeah.
Uh-huh.
Sweet.
Yeah. This was fun. Jeff, how you doing, man? I feel like we haven't heard from you too much.
I'm here. I'm just kind of listening as a. I'm the first listener. I'm here. I'm experiencing it live. I learned some new stuff today, stuff I didn't know. So that
What
was
did you
pretty
know?
interesting.
Give us an example. What'd you learn?
I learned a lot about the Spectrum stuff today. I did not realize there were only 199 of them in the US. That was surprising. And I didn't realize that there were, I thought it was like they built 5 of each color or something like that. I didn't realize that it was just built to order. So that was
Oh
really
yeah.
interesting to me. I, I'm
Did
kind
you
of
know that
surprised,
they were hand painted too?
but they're hand painted.
Correct. They
That's
actually,
wild.
yeah, they actually removed the parts and the shell and all that from the actual assembly line. They move it to a what they call like a special paint booth area from Volkswagen. The car gets painted there, and then the car returns to the line for the normal assembly process. So it is actually hand painted, which is cool.
That is really super cool, honestly. I mean, all this talk too about individual or what do you guys call it?
Exclusive
The
Spectrum,
exclusive
individual
spec
PTS.
cars. Yeah, I'm now looking at the BMW individual packages and
Yeah.
considering my next car because I
Well,
really have started to like the M3 more than I should with those big old grills, but
Oh, it looks so good though.
it's starting to grow on me. And
Once I
there's
shot,
some
once I shot
individual colors.
David's, once I shot David, that was like it was it.
Yeah, I think it's one of those things where it's not going to be great, but we're gonna see it in 10 years, and it's going to be one of those future classics where we look back at it just like, my personal favorite BMW being the E9. Back in its day was not, people didn't think it was a very good looking car. So I think it's going to be a very similar situation where we come back to it years later and think, wow, that was really distinctive. It might not be good looking, but it's at least distinctive and unique. And honestly, in the car world where everything just looks like a box with wheels these days, I think that's almost better at this point.
yeah, I mean, Look at the Mark 8 Golf and the Mark 8 GTI as an example. I was watching a video on YouTube a little bit earlier today, and it was a black GTI with the upgraded wheels and all that. And for some reason, the way they shot it, the way it was driving through this certain road, it actually looked really good to my eyes. And if you asked me, a month ago, hey, what do you think of the Mark 8 GTI? Oh no, it's a piece of shit. I don't like it. I'm still not a fan of it compared to the Mark 7. They made a lot of changes and compromises, I think, cost cutting, that sort of stuff. But style wise, it's already grown on me, and I've sort of gotten used to seeing it. So I think that's all it is. It just takes our eyes, some time to adjust and get used to it.
Yeah, I feel like honestly every car generation comes around and we hate it. I mean, I still think what is it, the G20s, the generation of 3 series after my car, which is an F30.
One of the best looking BMWs made today.
So
G20s. I love
it's
that
a
car.
good looking car. I don't think it looks like a BMW. I feel like it looks like a Lexus to me still. And that's been an issue for me with it. And it's come around to being a good looking car to me. But I think coming from looking at the F30 body style for 10 years now, it was just, it felt like such a departure. And it felt for a very long time like I really didn't like the way that car looked. But I think now I've come around to thinking it's a very good looking car. But I still do think it looks very much like a Lexus.
I could see that. I could see that. And I know Lexus, speaking of Lexus, I don't know if you guys saw the updated RX, I think it is, or NX. But they're kind of going off the deep end with this whole. You remember the beak that Acura used to have? They're kind of doing a beak on Lexus. So it'll be interesting to see how the public responds to that. But I feel like every car manufacturer is doing some sort of controversial design just to stand out.
I think that car now looks more like a car instead of a crossover. I don't know if you got that same feeling. Like it's like lower and like longer.
Yeah, I mean, look, the average person, they're buying a crossover not to go, they don't need the ground clearance, they don't need the off-road capability. They just want a higher seating position and they want a hatchback that's not a hatchback. So I think automakers are kind of catching on and making their crossovers into the new car, right? Because nobody buys cars anymore, which is a shame. But I see that every day working in automotive advertising. I mean, literally no manufacturer has specials anymore on sedans. You might have the odd, Honda Civic or Hyundai Elantra, but those are kind of like mainstays as cheap entry level cars. But everything else is crossover and trucks, so it's crazy. But you know, yeah, the design wise, I feel like every manufacturer is just trying to carve out their own little niche. BMW is doing it on their new 7 Series, which is a whole different topic altogether. But I'm sure we'll get into like design preferences and design blunders and all that sort of stuff in some future episodes too.
BMW iX, just burn it.
Pretty much, pretty much. But yeah, the that Spectrum program stuff. A lot of people don't realize how special it truly is. Like, it's one thing to say it's a special edition, but it's another thing to say like it's one of 12 in Orlando's case, hand painted, one of 199. Like it's really really cool.
And it kind of connected me to the person who actually is responsible for the program, which is super cool in my opinion. Obviously, that person became mainstream in the social media at this point, but back then when she wasn't necessarily well known, the fact that I was in contact with the person who was responsible for what I was buying, it added yet another layer of coolness to the process. So, and that's something that I value as an owner and as somebody who decided to take a plunge on something that wasn't necessarily cheap at the time, and because I could have gone with a regular car or something else, and yet I decided to step it up a little bit and go for the special one. And looking back to it, I don't think I should have done it any other way. Which is why I kind of agree on you guys actually considering the Audi exclusive, because it does add something good to what's already great, and you're not gonna regret it. That's all I'm gonna say.
No, no, exactly. It's like, um, RS3. It's not going to be cheap. By no means is it a cheap car, but if you're going to do it and you're going to keep it, and you want to make it just that much more personal, and you have the opportunity to do Audi exclusive at MSRP, why wouldn't you? Because I had some dealers reaching out. I reached out to them for information, and they wanted $15,000 over sticker for a standard allocation. So I told them to pound sand, and then we found this dealer that Jose and I are working with up in Atlanta, and they're like, yeah, MSRP, no markups. If you want Audi exclusive, we'll put you down, and that's it. So we're just playing the waiting game now, but it's looking promising, and I think, like you said, looking back at it, it's not something you're ever going to regret.
Yeah, and looking back at it, I actually went through the same process of, trying to find somebody that didn't mark up the car, and I'm talking about 2019. So it's not like there was a chip shortage or this trend of getting cars way over MSRP. But the fact that there was a special allocation already kind of stamped that issue, and I had to call a few dealers before I found one that was willing to do MSRP on the car.
Hmm.
And even others were like saying that they will, and then once you start getting serious about the process, then they just back out. So it's a long process when you want to get something unique, and now with this situation that we're going through, it's gonna be even tougher. But I
Yeah.
think it's worth the trouble.
Ironically, I think it's kind of poetic too that you got your Golf R from Atlanta, Jim Ellis, and then Jose and I are going to be doing the same thing. That's kind of poetic, but it also speaks volumes to that dealer group too. They're really good people.
Yeah, I have to agree on.
But yeah, I mean, I think this was a good first outing with this podcasting. I know we talked about it for literally years, so it was good to actually just do it and let it go. And we'll get better at it over time and figure out what
What
works, what
works?
doesn't work, and what topics we want to dive in further on. But yeah, this was fun, guys. Anybody have some parting remarks?
Nope.
Oh
Well, it's
no.
been a pleasure, and it's been cool too. So
Yeah, no, this was definitely fun. So yeah, we'll just have to figure out a schedule that works for everybody, and maybe we do this every other week or something like that, and we can do special episodes if we need, if there's some cool industry news or any major events that we want to talk about. We'll just jump on and do it. So
I don't know if you guys felt it, but this felt like way shorter than an hour and 20 minutes.
I know time flies.
I'm like, an hour, dude, that's going to be so long. And then an hour later, here we are. But
Yeah.
it feels like it's been like 10 minutes.
Yep. Yep. Yeah. Time flies when you're having fun, as they say. So
I agree.
yeah. So I think this was a good first experiment, a successful experiment. So I think we'll close it out here, and we'll look forward to the next time, and we can come up with some new topics and some new discussions to have. And just be sure to follow us. We've got at Six Driven on Instagram, SIX Driven, and you'll be able to go back through the archives there too and see some of our old cars and some of our old adventures. And we'll be sure to populate that, moving forward too. So yeah, this has been Six Driven. So we'll connect back with you guys on the next one and look forward to
Hold
it.
on. Is there anything going on tonight?
The
Yeah.
age-old question.
Oh well.
Bye.
More on that later.
All right, guys.
All right, see you
See ya.
guys.
Have
Bye.
fun, drive safe. Goodbye.